Hello there everyone and welcome to a new playthrough. This time we are making our way through Super Thunderblade, a 1988 remake for the Sega Genesis of a 1987 arcade game. It's kind of like Star Fox as far as I can gather, in that it's like a scrolling shmup kind of thing, so rather than all of the enemies being below you, as you can kind of see from the gameplay here, they're kind of coming from the front of you. The problem is, it's a little bit choppy. It's a bit of a difficult one. So, before we begin, I am going to make things a little bit easier on myself. First of all, we're going to drop the... Actually, we're going to keep the difficulty at medium. But what we are going to do is we are going to reverse the controls, because it's automatically inversed. It's, it's pretty standard for flight sims, but for this specific genre, I find it a bit difficult. And we're going to up the players to 7. That's the number of lives we got, and I gotta be honest, I've played a little bit of this to practice, and I'm terrible at it. So we are going to need as many lives as possible, even for this first stage. But with that, we can begin. We are a Super Thunderblade. That is apparently the term for this helicopter here. We're armed with some machine guns and some missiles and some vague military threat from the east. So presumably we're American. Good old 80s Americana has appeared and is trying to take over the world or something like that, with all of their tanks and planes and helicopters. And as you're going to see, whoever this vague eastern threat is, who's definitely the one that's trying to take over the world, they got a lot of stuff to throw at us. Like, already the number of helicopters we're blowing up here, number of tanks on the ground, very, very dangerous enemy if it wasn't for the fact that we're in a Super Thunderblade, and apparently there's no such thing as an ammo capacity on this thing, because we can just sit here and fire our machine guns off like nobody's business. So like I said, this is a shmup in the same style of something like Star Fox, where things come from in front of you. Gotta be honest though, it kinda sucks. The scrolling is very, very, very choppy, as you can see, which makes it very difficult to avoid anything coming towards you, much less the dozens and dozens and dozens of things flying towards you at any moment, whether that's projectiles, or the buildings you got to avoid, or the enemies, or any number of things. It's a bit of a nightmare to avoid anything. But from what I can gather, each stage is punctuated in the middle by one of these. They got a mini-boss. And the best strategy that I found for this one is to kind of circle around it. And over time, once it kind of gets into the middle of the screen, it's going to start firing off this massive laser cannon from the main turret. But if you just kind of circle around, the smaller turrets will eventually blow up and will be left just with the big main one. I find it a little bit inconsistent on how quickly it gets destroyed. I don't know how it's calculating the damage, in all honesty. But eventually, we'll wear it down, it disappears. And we're back to flying through the city, having to go through the kind of empty bit here. I was going to say we need to needle our way through some buildings, but there we are. We get a little bit of an empty reprieve for a start, and then the buildings reappear. We've got to kind of needle through them. This stage is not too bad, to be honest. Once I kind of got used to it and I realised I could invert the controls, it's not too bad. Generally speaking, you just kind of want to circle around. When you're in a big open area, you want to circle around the entire screen. When you're in a smaller enclosed area between the buildings, you can kind of make a much smaller circle in between them. And that'll keep you safe most of the time. I think the problem I was facing originally is because I wasn't going down far enough. So I was just kind of leaving tanks on the ground, and they were sniping me out of the air. Not sure that's what tanks really do in the conflict. I don't think tanks are meant to be anti-air vehicles, but there we are. That's what they're serving in this stage. Now, at the end of it, we do transition to a more, what I consider to be a more traditional shmup. I admit that I don't really know the history of the genre, but just from like mobile games and the like, this is the kind of thing that I'm more familiar with, like your Gallagher or whatever, where it's from above and you're throwing things down, shooting things from above, like this. And at least on this first stage, I don't know whether it'll be the same on all of the stages, but at least on this first one, that takes the form of this battleship. Big aircraft carrier. With some stuff on it. To be honest, you can't actually move from your position at the very bottom of the screen, which makes it a bit of a nightmare to actually hit anything. You just kind of need to like scroll left to right. And that'll keep you safe from most damage. You can be a bit more, if you want to try and hit things for, you know, your maximum score or whatever, you can be a bit more deliberate with your movements, but generally speaking, you'll at least be safe just by circling like this. And once that is done, once that aircraft carrier magically blows up after destroying all of the turrets, stage 1 is completed. And with that, the first episode of this playthrough. Now, from what I've gathered at this stage, it's going to be a bit of a doozy, but that is for tomorrow's episode. So, for now, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, but for now, adios and ciao.